starting the class, you can start. Okay.
It's only going to be
This one is there. Google Sheet. In that you
Slides.
wow.
So guys, let us start with SHRM. Okay, so you all know me, right? I'll be handling SHRM for you since I have met you in project and other things. A few students I know very well. Okay, so I am Dr. Dhanabhagan. Okay, and no, I will be my area is into HR specialization, HR and OB. Okay, I have completed my PhD in 2012. Okay, and my thesis topic is also into HRM. My specialization is into HRM. That is. So, okay, my research area is into SHRM thing only, which is called as succession planning. Okay, 360-degree performance appraisal for succession planning. That was my research area, and also I have published one book in this particularly just coming into SHRM, that too in 360-degree performance appraisal system, that to how far this 360-degree performance appraisal system is supporting for succession planning. So these are all the emerging trends, or else you can tell emerging topics in SHRM. So succession planning is a quite interesting topic, and that 360-degree performance appraisal. I have seen many of you have done your project in 360-degree. Few students in HRM have seen. So you might be known about those things. So these are all the recent trends after this new economic policy. Everything has been changed. You know? So few changes they have done in HRM. So as HRM, if you take when the HRM has started emerged and other things, if you take from the scientific era, so you all know very well about the general management, how management started, how it has been from till scientific management theories. Thereafter FW Taylor, Henry Fayol 14 principles, and slowly Elton Mayo HR approach. So from that onwards, this HR has got its boom, you can tell. So how humans should be treated in the organization. So this HR has started slowly emerged in the 1920 to 1940. You can tell that's with the concept of Elton Mayo. He has done a beautiful experiment in bank. So are you all thorough with that? You all know what is the experiment, how men should be treated, humans should be treated in the organization. Do you all know that experiment, what Elton Mayo has done? So Elton Mayo has done a banking experiment. He has observed with a kind of this is also kind of half-thrown experiment, you can tell. Okay, so what they have done is this Elton Mayo is known for HR approach, but for this HR approach, there was two contributors who experimented treating human. They have experimented in a particular aspect. Okay, so how what are the facilities, what are the benefits, what are all the extra advantages we have to give, because men cannot be treated as a machine. So we have to give some, we have to observe them since they are human sensitive. So we have to think about their aspects. So that's what HR approach they have done. So slowly it has been started emerge. So this experiment, Hawthorne experiment, is a beautiful experiment that they have done in a bank. Okay, employees working in a bank. Okay, so during that experiment, what they have observed was, if a man working for 8 hours, you can expect the man has the potential to perform well. They have the efficiency, so and so. Since it is a human, right? So they have all the potential to perform only for a particular hour. After that, the man will not have, will lose all the battery, will be becoming very slow after 8 hours, right? Is it or not? So after that, what they have done is, if a kind of incentive or benefits or some welfare facilities, if we are providing for the employee, immediately the employee will get some energized, and he will be performing well. So this was the experiment done by how humans should be treated in the organization. There are many more studies they have done. The research institutes are there, like Harvard Business School, so and so. They have done many experiments related with HR. So particularly this was significant. This Hawthorne experiment, you should know about this. Okay, as an HR student, you should be know about this. How this benefits, compensation, incentives, how they have added for the particular human is nothing but, apart from the working hour, as if an employee is working in the organization, to motivate them, to energize them, we have to give other benefits. So they have given added advantage in the kind of incentive, so and so they have started giving. So employees performance started increasing. Okay, so after that only this HR has started growing, and this a lot of HR specialization domains like selection, recruitment, procurement. What do you call procurement? Procurement is nothing but selection. What is procurement? Recruitment and selection. So combination of both, we call it as what? Procurement. And slowly once the employee enters, so you all know that story, right? What is the HR? It starts from procurement till compensation, benefits, everything. Do you all know this selection? Then placement, training, then performance appraisal. After performance appraisal, it comes with the end with the benefits, promotion, demotions, everything. Okay, so this is the normal HRM where do we talk, but this strategic HRM is little something. Is no, it is gone deeper into the HR perspective, the manpower perspective, how strategically we can bring some modernization, infrastructure development in HR aspect. So that is called as what? SHRM. Okay, so if you take this SHRM, so if you take when it has been started after this 1990 onwards, okay, so 1991, you can take the strategic HRM has started slowly emerged. Okay, so this strategic HRM, why it is required is nothing but, it is a kind of a thing where to meet with the globalization, global economy, global marketplace, to meet the company, so with the competitive company. So this SHRM is required. Apart from HR, some strategic HRM is required to make a company to be compete with the other competitors in the marketplace, that too in global level. Okay, so before entering into this SHRM, what are all the important environmental factors which affects this SHRM? Why SHRM is required? If you take, it starts with, I will tell you few things. There are few explanations. So if you take, very important thing is, one thing is workforce diversity. Okay, workforce diversity, then economic and technological change, globalization, organizational restructuring, and changing nature of work. So these are all the important. So you might not be here about what is HR. You know only what is HR, but you might not be here about HR. What is HR environment, right? As of now, still now you know what is HR environment. Do you all know? No, you are not thorough. What is HR environment? So there are also few factors involved in HR environment. So that is nothing but it is a basic thing only, general thing only, which we are not too much focused. Okay, which is all already known to us, but we are not that much too much. We are not into that much focused in this particular area. So that talks with workforce diversity. Then it comes economic and technological change, globalization, organizational restructuring, and changing the nature of work. So if you take workforce diversity, so since SHRM it talks about what? It talks about all world level. Okay, it talks about globalization part. Okay, it always talks about it kind of, it is applicable in the companies like MNCs, those companies in the global market, those companies competing in the global market level. So those companies, they have to take this environmental factors into consideration when talking about SHRM. What are the environmental factors we take? The first thing is workforce diversity. So if you take workforce diversity, what is workforce diversity? It talks about, since it is known as SHRM, yeah, very good. Very good. Different gender is there, race, and also we have different cultural aspects. So apart from gender, race, and so and so values and other things. So country it varies, right? Values varies, culture varies. Okay. So culture is an important part which acts upon the employees' performance. Okay, so for example, if you take a multicultural group of employees there in a MNC company like Google or any company you can take, if you have diverse workforce of employee working there, the efficiency of the workforce somewhere or other, you will not get that much productivity. So somewhere the company has to consider. So these are also one of the environmental factors come into consideration. Okay, that is the thing where the company has to understand we have different kind of cultural workforce, different kind of gender is working there, different age groups are there, so and so into consideration. So there are beautiful case studies on workforce diversity. Okay, even workforce diversity, since it talks more about not only culture but cultural aspect is also most of the scientists like they have talked more about this cultural diversity. Okay, cultural diversity impacts more on the organizational efficiency and performance of the employee in the organization. Okay. So like Mitzberg, have you heard about Henry Mitzberg? Is it or not? Is it or not? Henry Pittsburgh is still alive. Okay, you know, like still, if you want, you can connect in LinkedIn. Okay, so where we talk more about this cultural diversity. Okay, what you can see if you enter into LinkedIn, you will get connected with so and so good scientists and good HR, good management. Gurus are there like Pittsburgh. You can get connected with them weekly. They update. They give only on the organizational perspective, general management perspective, and cultural aspect. That is like HR aspect, marketing, everything they will combine, and every week they will publish articles. Okay, so where in most of the article he highlighted that cultural aspect is an important area where it acts more on the efficiency and performance of the workforce. Okay, so where the company has to think in that aspect, since we have different culture of employees working there, proper training, motivation, certain kind of training and certain kind of training in the form of, first the employees can be get mingled with them each other, since we have different diverse workforce, so the company has to consider this part. Okay, have you understood what is workforce diversity? Then if you take economic and technological change, economic and technological change is also another second aspect. First is workforce diversity, and if you take economic and technological aspect, is nothing but since, as I have told you, that is like a new economic policy in 1991 when it started emerged. During that time only this SHRM started slowly emerging during 1991 when a new economic policy of every year comes. Okay, but when SHRM, if you take, it significantly is arise during that period. Okay, 1991. Okay, so here economic and lot of technological changes where the HR aspect has to be, either they will go for downsizing of employees or else they will go for restructuring of the organization structure, where they will be reducing the employee or else they will be adding more employees. Okay, so when this part of economic and technological changes happened, the strategic HRM has got, they started recruiting employees, those who are having a good knowledge, skills and abilities, who is having the capability to work technologically in the form of an upliftment if they are having. So those kind of employees they started to recruit. Okay, so this economic and technological change is also playing an important role where the employees were taken into consideration, not like a normal employee we can't recruit. When we go for thinking about our quality of the product, where it has to be excelled and where it has to be plays an important role in the marketplace, where we have to recruit the employees who's having a good potential in the form of knowledge, skills and abilities, who's capable enough to work with the technology which we are bringing, which new technology which we are adopting in the organization. So the employee has to be cope up with that level. So these are also economic and technological change is also playing in the role of HRM. Okay, and if you take third one, globalization. So globalization, as you all know, what is globalization? Globalization is nothing but this a kind. What is globalization? Integration of, yeah. So globalization is nothing but where each every countries they are trying to compete with other countries to make their country to be their product or the company product to be excel compared to other things. Okay. So this when you talk about globalization, you should also think about LPG. Okay, what is LPG? Liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Okay, so if you take LPG, this LPG talks about liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Okay, so before that, this globalization comes, you all know there was a organizational hierarchy. You know what is organizational hierarchy? Do you all know what is organizational hierarchy? What is organization? Top, middle, and low level. Okay, so this top level, middle level, and before this globalization, LPG was emerged. So before that, you can take this hierarchy is a kind of a strict procedure where the organization follows. Okay, they have follow their strict policies, rules, and procedures where the employees will be more no, feared kind of a thing. They have to obey the seniors, superiors, so and so. It was a kind of a bureaucratic principles. You can tell it is a kind of a strict rules, procedures. It is a tight structure. Organization structure was very tight. When globalization started, when LPG comes, okay, slowly the organization structure has got some few liberalization. So the organization structure has got its own restructuring part, liberalization. They started to flatten the structure. Okay, they started to remove more layers in the organization structure. Okay, so since this globalization is also playing an important role in the HR aspect. Okay, so this LPG, once this LPG comes, that is where where we are talking, the organizational hierarchies totally has been changed from the bureaucratic to little liberal kind of principles. Okay, so where they have a freedom of approaching their superiors, they can go and talk with the senior manager. So, okay, so have you understood what is globalization? Once the globalization, when you are talking about globalization, you have to talk about the LPG consideration. So you, after this LPG only, this organization from bureaucratic, we have slowly been coming to total small kind of a restructuring. Slowly it has been started. Okay. Then if you take organizational restructuring, that's the fourth one. So this organizational restructuring is nothing but this organizational restructuring talks about what is organizational restructuring. Very good. Change in the system and then change in the Structure, very good. Then practices. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so this since I have talked about globalization, slowly we have seen about what is LPG, how the hierarchy from bureaucratic they have come down into flattened structure. So same way, this organization restructuring also tells about the from the bureaucratic principles. Slowly, the organization restructuring started to the point of employees' views. Okay, employees point into consideration into bottom line approach. Okay, so since organization structuring due to this strategic HRM, where this new HR part has to be more considered. So slowly, this it is also one of the organization restructuring is also one of the important part play an important role in the SHR. Okay, this is also one of the important environmental factor you can tell. So what this organization restructuring, how does it take place? If you take it's a kind of a from the top, middle, low level. Slowly they have removed few layers, which is not necessary. They started to downsize and they started to redo the structure in the form of a bottom line approach where employees' point should also be considered. Okay, since we are talking about SRM, we should know so where the employees' point also need to be more emphasized, where their considerations also to be taken into their organizational perspective. So they have done this. Organizational restructuring is also an important role playing as an environmental impact for SHR. Okay, and changing the nature of work. Changing the nature of work is nothing but what you can tell. Changing the nature of work is nothing but this, yeah. Changing the nature of work now slowly you can tell technology has been upgraded and most of the organization now started implementing virtual organization, right? So most of the employees today you can see they are sitting at home and they are working. Still now it happens or not after this COVID impact. Still we do have most of the companies in Bangalore. They have cut down their cost for what? Instead of paying more rent for the offices, the employees are still they are doing work from home. Okay, so this is kind of a changing the nature of the work. Where this also plays an important role in organizational restructuring. If you talk before that, I forget to tell that where when it is an important part of a HR manager when we are doing this organizational restructuring. We have to think about what we are removing some employees, we are removing some players, we are bringing in some employees, we are adding, we are taking suddenly we are that is no, we are exiting some employees and removing some layers, and we are sending out some employees, exiting out some employees. Is it or not? So it is a duty of a HR manager. They have to clearly they have to design the HRP, since it is a important aspect where the HR manager has to play an important role in organizational restructuring. Have you understood what is organizational restructuring? Total hierarchy they are going to change in the part of the employee point of view. So when they are going for restructuring, they have to take into consideration the employees part, right? So the HR manager has to think into consideration. They have to redesign the HRP. HRP is what? Human resource planning. So since already we have planned something, so when organization restructuring is happening, they have to go for again doing the HRP planning. Okay, so HRP planning we have lot of other so and so other dimensions like you have Markov analysis is there, you have trend analysis is there, workload, Delphi technique, so and so calculation. They might have some other calculation they might have done, and they have a HR department. They have so and so HRP. They have such a so and so calculation metrics, and they have this much kind of manpower is required. They have already, but now when organization restructuring is happening, it is a great problem for the HR manager where they have to redesign their HRP also. Okay, and last one is changing the nature of work. This nature of changing the nature of work is nothing but according to the employee consideration HR point due to robotics, so and so information system. So excellent technology has been introduced. So the nature of work of manpower has been reduced, downsized, and also now currently we are having what? Virtual organization. So before going to HRM, this was the topic given in your syllabus. What is HR environment? So be thorough. be understand. Since you might be know why HR environment, what is HR environment, why it is required, but you should be know about certain aspects, certain dimensions. These are all the important dimensions you have to be taken into consideration for when you study why SHRM happens, for why we are going for SHRM, why we are talking SHRM in globalization. So these are all the environmental factors. Okay, have you understood? So what are the workforce diversity, economic workforce diversity? What happened? What happened? Workforce diversity. In workforce diversity, you have to emphasize more on cultural diversity and age, gender, value, so and so. Okay, and their ethnicity also value varies. Okay, but if you take, can you tell one example which country has more workforce diversity? United States, not India. India is the number one country. You can tell we here only we have different culture diversity is more compared to other countries. Think about.
Like in US, people used to come from different countries.
Yeah. But when you go there, slowly we are adopting. But if you take Indian perspective, in India as a country, while we are considering workforce diversity, that is no diverse work culture is more here compared to other countries. Very good. Okay. And the next one is economic and technological change. We have to see. So economic and technological change, you have to talk about how to bring your company in the marketplace when the economy changes or the technology changes, how we are going for restructuring or else how we are going to bringing a good manpower in the form of a quality point of view, like KSA you can talk. Okay, and then globalization. Globalization here you have to talk about LPG. That is liberalization, privatization, and globalization, which plays an important role. So after LPG comes, the hierarchy, the bureaucratic principles slowly removed, and they now we are into free. That is kind of a, not free. We can't tell, but it's something we are into a free liberalized hierarchy. Okay, and then organizational restructuring is nothing but the company is going to redesign the organization structure according to the global perspective. That too taking into consideration of the restructuring the manpower, HRP, so also HRP metrics into calculations and changing the nature of work. Changing the nature of work is based upon the employees' perspectives and past so and so considerations. Slowly now we are into virtual organization. So if you want to talk about this more, we can talk for each and everything. We can give beautiful examples. So we can do beautiful examples. Only I have highlighted the important significant areas for your understanding perspective. I have given some examples and which you have to take into considerations. Okay, have you got it? Next, shall we move to the next? So this is a flow chart. Okay, this is a flow chart for changes and trends in HR. Okay, so global trends, technological trends, and nature of workforce diversity. That is workforce demographic trends they have given. Okay, that is nothing but workforce diversity. Okay, this is the model. Okay. So have you understood this model? Have you understood this model? Are you clear with this model? Okay. The same thing, factors whichever I have told you. No? So these are all the important factors for which I. Okay. Next, that is we have our next second chapter. That is after the environment. Now we are going to see HRM from the investment perspective. Okay. What is HRM to be considered in the point of investment perspective? Why investment perspective come here in HRM? Very good. We are
Individual as a source for the company.
individual. We are something no, we are investing on employees like other variable costs. What are the variable costs we have in the organization? Huh?
Training costs,
So like we have our own like machinery, other so and so variable cost is also considered, like raw material, purchase of raw material, and other things we have, right? So even though those things are there, as an HR students, as an HR life students, you should know HR investment is also we have to take more into consideration. Okay, so if you take finance students, they will talk only about raw materials also, but as a HR student, as a HR things, we have to talk more about how the company is investing on HRM, what kind of expectations the company is expecting from the manpower.